Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you today about passing your road test first time. Yes, it's been a couple of weeks since I've done this presentation, and this will certainly help all of the smart drivers who are working towards a license or starting a career as a truck or bus driver. And if you're starting a career as a truck or bus driver, then certainly you have to pass a road test to get your Class 1, Class A, which is both tractor trailer, or Class D, if it's in the alphabet system for the license, or Class 3, which is a straight truck, and then a bus license, which can be several different kinds of licenses for those of you going for a bus license. So what we need to talk about today is a little bit, I have a presentation for you, and then I'll answer any questions that you have as well. Super Chat is available if you have questions and you do use Super Chat and donate some money. I will certainly stick around later after the end of the presentation, and I will give you an answer to your question, and I will spend as much time to answer that question as I can. So Sakaming is on. Hi guys. Parthena, and I can't say the last part. We'll just call it Parthena A. Kayla's Life. I've been helping Kayla with her preparation. She's been doing really well. Just remind me, Kayla, I think that you did in fact pass your road test, didn't you? Or did you take your road test yet? Just leave a comment there and I'll have a look at it. Hypixel is here as well, so that's really great. Lots of people have questions. If you got questions, by all means, that's what this is. Mostly is questions and answers, because anything I can do to help you guys pass your road tests and be successful in that endeavor, we're all going to be great. So I got my last little pump. Excellent, you got your license. Congratulations on getting your license. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today and some of the things you need to do in terms of getting your license and learning how to drive. And Gordon Ramsay passed his license 4 weeks ago. Parthena took his or her license on the 13th of July and passed. That is really awesome. You know, guys, what I'm doing here in terms of the videos that I put up to help you pass your road test or start a career as a truck or bus driver, when you let me know that you passed your road test, that is just an overwhelming sense of pride. It really validates what I'm doing here on Smart Drive Test and getting you the information you need to pass your road test. So when you guys let me know, it makes my day. Let me tell you, it makes my day. And Kayla's Life, yes, she passed because of me. Thanks so much. That's really terrific. And again, while I'm talking about passing road tests, I had a friend who has a teenage son, and he got his license about 6 to 8 months ago. So I am just going to caution you, for those of you who are new drivers, not so much the first few months, the first 3 or 4 months after you get your license, but 6 to 8 months down the road after you get a little bit of experience and you feel confident driving the vehicle. That's when you're going to be at risk. It's not going to be immediately after getting your license, but it's going to be a few months down the road. So I do caution you in that time period when sort of 6 months goes by or 8 months. And unfortunately, you're a bit of a statistic because insurance companies crunch a lot of numbers. They pay actuarial sciences a lot of money to crunch these numbers and determine your insurance fees, which most of you, if you've looked at insurance, unfortunately, you're realizing that your insurance is really high. And it's unfortunate. If you can get on your parents, it does help a little bit, but still, it is quite high. Christina McDonald, I'm going for my road test on Friday. Good luck with your road test on Friday. By all means, stop back, leave us a comment, and let us know how your road test goes. And if you guys, again, have any questions at all, you want to learn how to trailer, you want to learn how to drive a manual vehicle, we have videos for all of those sorts of things, and we'll get you going on that. And I would just like to encourage all the women to learn how to drive standard, because it just really makes you cool. And you know, if you're out with your boyfriend or somebody else who's a male and you can drive stick, it really elevates your coolness in the world. So learn how to drive manual transmission. Fernando, I took my road test on the July 5th and passed. Thanks for your video. You are most welcome, Fernando, and thank you for letting us know. Katsu Quiet, yes, need to learn manual. Yes, definitely learn how to drive manual, especially if you have any aspirations to travel in the world, because traveling is awesome. And I will just let you in on this one little thing that I mentioned in the manual transmission series is, in North America, 85% of the vehicles are automatic transmissions. So it's very easy to drive an automatic transmission in North America. But if you go to Europe, it's the opposite. Only about 15% of the vehicles in Europe are automatic transmissions, and most of the vehicles are going to be manual transmission. So if you are moving to travel the world, even better if you can drive manual transmission. Little Pump, thanks for everything you taught us. You are most welcome. Where am I located? Tyrese, I am in Vernon, British Columbia, which is in the Okanagan Valley. It's about exactly 5 hours northeast of Vancouver, British Columbia. So that's where I am. No, Monica, you have to bring your own vehicle to the licensing center. You either have to bring your personal vehicle, or you have to bring the driving school's vehicle, and you have to rent that vehicle from them. Most driving schools are going to want you to take driving lessons with them if you're going to use their vehicle. Keep shifting down and up. Oh, Katsu quiet. No, actually, it's not tiring to shift a manual transmission. Actually, it becomes kind of natural after a while. And once you start driving a manual transmission, it's pretty tough to go back to an automatic because you just don't feel you have the same amount of control. So, parking tips. Yes, there is a fundamental video here on driving fundamentals. Practice the driving fundamentals first. Have a look at that video. It is in the slow speed maneuver playlist. Have a look at that, and that will help you with your parking, because what you need to do first is you need to learn how to control the primary controls of the vehicle, those being the steering wheel, the brake, and the throttle if you're driving an automatic. If you have a manual transmission, the clutch is going to be one of your primary controls, and if you can learn those in a parking lot by getting some of those 36-inch 1 meter tall pylons, and then practicing doing forward maneuvers, straight line backing, forward figure eights, reverse figure eights, all of that is going to help you with your parking. And then after that, do your slow speed maneuvers. Know that the slow speed maneuvers are the key to becoming a better driver and practicing for your road test, because if you can do slow speed maneuvers, the rest is fairly easy, because it teaches you spatial relationship and awareness of where the vehicle is in space and place. Farmus Willie, I'm on a course of CDL. I do pray to become successful. You will become successful. Famous Willie. That's PH, that threw me. Famous Willie, the only thing between you and success is time and space. If you do the work, you work with the instructors, they're really good at helping you pass a CDL license. So are you, Famous Willie, are you taking a bus or a truck license? And if it's a truck license, is it a straight truck or is it a tractor trailer? Dr. Canoe. There's my friend Tim. If any of you are building websites and need help with a Joomla website, Pastor Yoda, as I call him, is the Joomla website guru. So get in touch with him, and after the video I'll put his details down in the bottom there. Merle Frederick, I keep failing my G1. Why, Merle, do you keep failing your G1? What is the reason that the examiners are giving you? M. Meg, I recently passed my test and I was hired by a company, but they sent me to California and I really struggled with those steep downgrades, 7, 5, and 10. Basic Joomla tutorials, that's Tim's link there. Meg, yes, breaking downhill is pretty tough. Did you look at the video here on the channel for breaking downhill and give you some information about that? What kind of transmission were you driving, Meg? Leave me that information. Was it a 9, 10, a 13, or an 18 speed? And I can answer that question for you. You are most welcome, Tim, about the plug there. Jacqueline Rochester, thanks so much for your praise. Yes, we keep trying to do a better job for you and trying to get you successful in passing your road test, because, as we said. So, Meg, what kind of transmission were you driving? What kind of transmission did you have in the big truck? Because I can give you a hand with that. Automatic. Oof. Of course you're driving an automatic. I don't have a lot of experience with automatic transmissions, but I do know you need to go down on a low gear. So, let me look into that for you, Meg, and I will get back to you with some information here. So what we're going to do, if there isn't any more questions right away, I'll just have a look here in the comments. Anthony Johnson. Anthony, driving school or do it yourself. Are you going for your passenger vehicle license, Anthony? Like just a car or a light truck? Is that what you're doing? Or are you doing a CDL license? Just answer that question for me, and then I'll be able to answer your question about driving school or doing it yourself. Okay, Meg, I almost ran out of air. Okay, so if you're almost running out of air, Meg, on your downhill descents with an automatic transmission, you're not in a low enough gear. You need to have a low enough gear that the Jake brake's going to work, and know that Jake brakes work at a high RPM at a lower speed. So the lower the gear, the higher the engine RPM. It should be running about 1800 on the big diesel engine. Going downhill, that way you're going to be less likely to be using the service brakes. And you really, on these big grades, these long, steep downgrades, you really got to get into a lower gear and have that Jake brake on full so you're not using your service brakes. Because if you're running out of air, what you're going to do is you're going to risk brake fade. And if you get brake fade, what happens is that the brake shoes won't come in contact with the drum anymore, and you could risk a runaway. So do look at my video for downhill braking, and I'll leave a link for you after the video, and be able to help you out with that and get you driving down those big hills safely, because you don't want to lose it. Okay, Anthony, where did Anthony go? Car license. Okay, Anthony, you can do it yourself. Okay, you don't have to go to a driving school and take driving lessons. Now, if you're feeling a bit nervous and you just want a bit of guidance, I would suggest that you take a couple of lessons with a driving school just to get started. However, you can watch the videos here on my channel. Most of them will guide you through the techniques and skills and abilities that you need for the purposes of working towards your license. However, I would suggest to you that if you do that, if you watch the videos on the Smart Drive Test YouTube channel and work through the information that you need in terms to be successful on the road test, 7 to 10 days before you go for your road test, hire a local driving school and get them to take you out for a mock road test, because there is very specific information for taking the road test at your local driving school that I can't give you. For example, I advocate the hand-over-hand method for using the steering wheel, and then when you come back on the turn, open your hands, keep your palms in contact with the steering wheel, but open your fingers and let the steering wheel come back. Some driving centers will not let you do that. You have to physically manipulate the steering wheel back, which I don't advocate. However, you need to do that in some licensing centers. So know that. 7 to 10 days, take a mock road test with a local driving school, and they'll be able to give you the specific information that you need to pass your road test. So that's one of the things to do. Okay. Billy Oso, watched his videos and passed my road test with ever going to a driving school. So there's one of your testimonies about that. Shabazz, thanks for the comment there. Parking tips, again, practice the slow speed maneuvers, practice the fundamentals. And again, I'll put that fundamentals video down in the link at the end of the video. I had a good question here about driving into the sun. Yes, if you've got strong glare and you're driving into strong glare, it is really challenging, because it is really tiring on your eyes, and it is a challenge to be able to see. And one of the things that you need to do is, obviously, you need to put the sun visor down, you need to wear sunglasses, and try not to stare into the sun, because that will affect your vision, because your pupils will shrink because of the excess amount of light. And try and look for landmarks that will guide you along the roadway. And most of the time, the most prominent landmarks when you're driving into sun is the other traffic. So have a look at that. And as well, a lot of the same techniques that are in the night driving video are the same techniques that will help you to drive when you're driving into glaring sun. So have a look at the night driving video as well here on the YouTube channel, and that will help you with the driving the glaring sun. So okay, analytically sound. So you've got some problems with your nerves and anxiety of taking a test, and that's not unusual. Lots of us are, we don't like being what we feel like being criticized by other people. We don't like being watched. We don't like being judged. So nerves and anxiety, by all means. And the only thing that is going to help with your nerves and your anxiety is to practice, 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 practice. Because the more you practice, when you get under stress, when you get anxious, you're going to do what you've practiced. And if you've practiced lots and practiced the maneuvers and practiced driving in different vehicles and with different people in the vehicle and in different conditions, different traffic conditions, when you get anxious and you get nervous on your road test, that's going to help. That's going to help a lot because you're going to do what you practiced. So I come back to this to get as much practice as you can. Try to start driving as early as you can to start practicing for your road test, even if you're driving mom to the doctor or you're driving, to get ice cream or whatever. Just any excuse you can to get in a vehicle and to drive a vehicle. Try and get as much practice as possible. Hopefully I can make it getting harder. JZ Clouds, yes, has a road test tomorrow. Good luck in your road test. By all means, let us drop us a note and let us know how that went. Sour Boy, passed your road test. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to go for that. But anyway, Beverly Thompson, I have an issue with pity patting the wheel. Any tips? When the car's a little heavy, I don't have this issue. Pity patting. What do you mean, like tapping the steering wheel? Is that what you're doing, Beverly? Because that's kind of funny. Tyrese, skip out on my prescription meds. I don't know. Maybe I think you should consult a doctor. I am a doctor, but I'm not the kind of doctor that's going to help you with your prescription meds. I'll help you with your driving. So, okay. So Beverly, you're having difficulty being smooth with the steering wheel and efficient. That's what you're asking me about in terms of the steering wheel and manipulating the steering wheel? Again, for getting better with the primary controls, what I recommend is the fundamentals of learning how to drive. That video, I'll put it down in the description after I'm done here. By all means, have a look at that. There is a playlist here on the Smart Drive Test channel called Slow Speed Maneuvers, and that video is in there. And what I suggest, and I suggest this to all drivers who are learning how to drive, who are preparing to pass a road test, even if you haven't already done this, go out and rent some of those 36-inch, 1-meter tall pylons, put them in the parking lot, and do forward maneuvers, forward straight line backing. And then when you get good with all that stuff, backing up around corners and whatnot, do forward figure eights. And then when you get good at that and you're all the boss and think that you're really great at doing forward figure eights with the vehicle, put 2 pylons in and then do reverse figure eights. When you can do reverse figure eights without too much mental thought about that, then you're probably going to be a lot better with your primary controls. Because even for me, it's a real mental shift to do reverse figure eights in a vehicle in a parking lot. So, on brake checking, Hypixel, what do you mean by brake checking? Are you talking about covering the brake or something else? Just clarify that for me. To do parallel parking, I did practice all the time. Okay, Clouds, JZ Clouds, again, go back to the fundamentals and work on some of your other slow speed maneuvers, because you'd be surprised if you leave the parallel parking for a little bit, go and do your 3-point turns, your 2-point reverse turns, forward figure eights and reverse figure eights, and then come back to your parallel parking. You'll find that will improve because of the skills that you learned in doing the other slow speed maneuvers. So do that as well. Okay, my instructor insists on hand over hand only and hand placement exactly as he does it, but it's not natural. Well, that's unfortunate that your instructor is trying to make a mini-me. Because instructors should really work with different students, because we're not all the same physical body type and we don't fit into the vehicle the same. Therefore, when we sit in the seat, where you hold the hands on the steering wheel is going to be different, and there's different schools of thought about where you put your hands on the steering wheel. The old school of thought, it was 10 and 2, then it was 9 and 3, now it's 8 and 4, and 8 and 4 because of the airbags in the steering wheel, that if you don't have your hands at 8 and 4, the airbags will come out and you could potentially break your arms in a crash. So there's different schools of thought. Most of the time it's going to be 10 and 2 or 9 and 3. Most students find that fairly comfortable. So unfortunately, I'm sorry to hear that your instructor wants you to do it a certain way. So Daniela, yes, I am in Canada. I'm in British Columbia, but I have driven extensively in the United States. I've read most of the driver's manuals in the United States. I wouldn't recommend reading most of those because they are quite boring and will only, cure insomnia. So I'm very good at what's going on in the States, and besides, lots of people leave me comments about the stuff that's going on in the States, and I also in contact with some of the driving instructors in the States. Sam there from the Bronx in New York gives me lots of information. I ask him lots of questions, and I rely on him heavily for information about passing a road test in the States. Parsifal, getting me frustrated. Okay, if there's anything we can help you with, clarify, leave me a comment. By all means, send me an email, rick@smartdrivetest, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you and answer any specific questions you might have in terms of being successful on a road test. Anickley Sound, Abbotsford, awesome. Yes, that's great. So other people here from British Columbia looking to get information. Speedy, Mince Perez, little Speedy, little lead foot there. Yes, that's not unusual. I think a lot of people have that problem when they're learning how to drive, especially for a road test, because for a road test you have to obey this posted speed limit. You have to do the speed limit, so you have to practice to do that. Okay. Okay, Tanya Eunice, I have a permit, but I'm driving by myself. Is that okay? No, that's not okay. I don't know where you are. You'll have to tell me where you are, which state or which province or where you are in the world. But most permits require that you have some veteran in the car with you, a mentor. You need a mentor and those types of things. Look up on your local driving authority the criteria for your driving permit, and then you'll figure out who needs to be in the vehicle with you. Okay, hi there, loved your channel. I'm taking my class 3 CDIS and test in 2 weeks. Pretty nervous about the pre-trip and wondering about what will be required for backing up. I'll be using a dump truck. Okay, CDIS dump trucks. It depends on your licensing center, and different licensing centers have different requirements. I know a couple of places, when I used to work in London, Ontario, we had to do a back around a corner. In Victoria, it was a parallel park, kind of a parallel park. It was just parallel park into a space. And here in Vernon, it's just a straight line back. So it's going to depend on which licensing center. And if you just ring a local driving school, give them a call. I'll speak English for you. They will be able to give you the information you need about what is required for the backing up part of your road test. Gordon Ramsay, what is the best way to judge parking distance between another vehicle or behind? Again, Gordon, go out and get some of those 36-inch meter tall pylons and stick one in a parking lot and try and back up to it. And that way you've got a visual reference. And as you get better and better, get a shorter pylon and then try and back up to that shorter pylon. That way, if you hit it, it's not a big deal, right? So it's not like backing into a car or whatnot. So that's one of the ways to teach yourself spatial relationship about the vehicle, and as well, look at the video here on blind spots, and that will show you the blind spots around the vehicle, the areas around your vehicle that you can't see from the driver's seat. Because one of the things that comes with experience of driving a vehicle is that awareness of spatial relationships around your vehicle. And obviously one of the biggest blind spots is out the back of your vehicle. On my small SUV, as you'll see in the video there, it's almost 20 feet to see an 18-inch pylon out the back window of your SUV. So you need to learn how to do spatial awareness. Okay. CDIS, I'm on the island. Oh, you're going to CDIS. Are you going to Victoria to do your road test? Because if you're going to Victoria, then you have to do a parallel park into the space down there on Mackenzie. I think it's Mackenzie, just off Mackenzie. Remind me. It's been a couple of years since I've been there, but yeah. Bryce, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your prayers, Bryce. That's awesome. Illinois. Okay, Tanya. Yeah, it's probably good to drive with your mom. Just have a look at the DMV in Illinois there, but I'm pretty sure you got to have somebody in your vehicle with you with the permit there, so just know that, okay? Oh, CDIS, you're doing it in Nanaimo. Okay, then you need to call ICBC in Nanaimo and see what they require. Or the other thing is just go down there on a day that they're having a road test, and you'll see what the trucks are doing when they back in and where they have to wait. Oftentimes it's labeled in the licensing authority where they have the parking for them. Remy, in terms of keeping your hands on the steering wheel, it's either hand over hand or push-pull method. It'll depend on your local authority. So just either talk to a local driving school and they'll tell you whether it's push-pull or whether it's hand over hand. Most places in North America are going to be hand to hand, or hand over hand rather, I'm sorry. Some will be push-pull, but not very many, okay? Okay, Sakaming, if you're having difficulty with your turning, again, go back to the fundamentals of driving. And again, I'll put the video down in the bottom here for practicing those fundamentals. And I would suggest that you, if you're having difficulty with your turning, go back and do those fundamentals, and that will help you to control the steering wheel. That will make your turns better. As well, look at the turning playlist here on Smart Drive Test, and that will help you out with that. Grand Alchemist, palming the steering wheel on reverse? No, it won't, because when you sit in the seat to do reversing, if you're doing aggressive turning, like if you're going around a corner, you've got one hand on the steering wheel, you've got the other hand behind the passenger seat. So you're going to have to palm the steering wheel on reverse. So it's not a fail to palm the steering wheel when you're reversing the vehicle, because you can't have both hands on the steering wheel. Like most of the time when you're backing up, you're only going to move at a quarter turn in either direction. Going around corners, you're going to have to turn to half a turn to 3/4 of a turn, so you're going to have to palm the steering wheel. So you won't fail on a road test for palming the steering wheel while reversing. You won't even fail for palming the steering wheel on turns if you're driving forward, unless you're doing it consistently throughout the whole road test. Then you will. Okay. Okay, I'm not in Canada, but is it true that you have to use hand over hand? Yes. Transparsifal, yes. You do have to use hand over hand. Okay. All right. Who else I got? My new instructor made me worse. I'm sorry to hear that. It's not funny. I know it shouldn't be funny, but it was kind of a chuckle. Exoblur, thank you so much for that. Okay, so we've been at half an hour for questions and answers here. What's my next vid about? Rinware. Oddly enough, I was working on a dash cam review for you, and it didn't work out. The video quality wasn't good enough for it, and unfortunately I wrote the company back and I said, listen, I can't recommend this to my viewers because the video quality isn't any good. So unfortunately I abandoned it. So so it worked out for you guys because I'm doing a live feed on question and answers for your road test today, and that's what happened. So that's what happened, Rinwer. And I'll get another video on the weekend. I think the video on the weekend is going to be changing a spare tire. I think I'm going to finish that one up. I got started on that one for you. But again, if you guys have any requests at all for videos, leave them down in the comments. A lot of my greatest and best videos that have been really successful have been from comments that you've left and requests that you've made about as subject material for passing a road test. Okay. Dosman, straight line backing, please. Yes, go out and rent some of those 36-inch tall 1-meter pylons. Get 3 or 4 of them. You can rent them for less than $10 from your local rental shop. And go to a parking lot, stick them in a straight line, and back up on either side of those. That way it gives you a visual reference that you can see while you're learning how to back up. So do that first, and then after you do that, go and do curb parking, and that will help you out. Matt, I had my license for about a year now, going to trade in my probationary in about a week. Even with that said, I'm still not completely comfortable behind the wheel. Don't feel like I learned much. Okay, so what you need to do, Matt, is I would suggest that you look at the fear and anxiety video. That will give you some tips on how to sort of get, less anxious while you're driving behind the wheel. And the other thing I suggest is definitely do the fundamentals. Go to the parking lot, do the work, do the forward and reverse along the pylons, do forward and reverse figure eights, and do the 2x4 exercise as well that's in there. And for those of you who don't know what the 2x4 is exercise, just go to the local lumber shop and buy a cheap piece of 2x4. 8 feet long, go out to the parking lot, put it down on the pavement, flat on the pavement, and then try and drive over it with the wheels on the driver's side and then on the passenger side. And when you can do that successfully in forward and in reverse, you have a really good sense of where the vehicle is in space and place. And that, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the best exercises that you can do to learn where the vehicle is. Because if you can hit that 2x4, that is showing a very high ability of controlling the vehicle on your part. So here's Sam, Jericho Arrow. That's Sam. Sam is a driving instructor. He's from the Bronx. So hey Sam, how's it going? And if you have any questions for the US, for the States, by all means ask Sam those questions, because Sam is really knowledgeable and he works in the field as well and has some really great information. Tej, preparing for G exit test. Know the skills that you need to have for a road test. Tej, practice those specific skills and make sure that you can keep your vehicle at the posted speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. Those are the keys for passing your road tests. So, yep, excellent. Trans Parsifal, he's in New York City as well. So maybe you can hook up with Sam and you two can get together. Okay. I'll see if, will I do? Yes, Rinwer, I am working on motorcycles. That is probably going to come next year. I've got enough this year in terms of videos. Like, I keep telling people if I had a crew, I could shoot for 6 months and I still wouldn't run out of material. So I am also trying to build courses, and one of the courses, and just now that you asked me this, one of the courses that I'm currently working on and working like mad and hope to have done by the end of the week is Pass Your Road Test First Time Guaranteed. It's a course for passing your passenger vehicle license, and it's a course that's guaranteed that you'll pass your road test first time. So I'm working on that. I think the price of that course is going to be $35.99. It's going to be the course. It's 6 or 7 modules, and as well it'll also help you with your learner's permit for driving. So as soon as I get that up, I'll make a video and I'll announce the launch of that course. But like I said, I'm really hoping to get it up here in the next couple of weeks, and at the end of the week, because next Wednesday I'm going on holidays for 2 weeks to the province of Ontario to visit my mom for the annual trip back east. So that's what's happening. Rookie driving school. That's Sam there. Okay. Doing a BC Class 2 test soon. Chris, pre-trip inspection seems too long to memorize. Any tips? Okay, Chris, one of the things you want to do when you do a bus pre-trip inspection is break it down into sections. Break the vehicle down into sections, okay? If you can break it down into sections and remember each section, and then remember top to bottom, left to right. And if you can do that and you break it down into sections, it makes the overall pre-trip inspection easier as well. So once you break everything down into sections, remember your path of travel around the vehicle, okay? And try and keep that into sort of 5 short steps. So I go under the hood, in the vehicle, check all the seats and whatnot. I come out, back to the seat, sit down, out around the vehicle, underneath the vehicle, and then back out, and then do your final 2 brake tests for your air brakes. Does the vehicle you have, Chris, does it have air brakes on it? Do you need an air brake ticket to drive the Class 2 vehicle that you're getting your license for? So that's one of the ways to memorize it. And remember, after you do it 5 or 6 times, it's going to be fairly easy. When you see it the first time, the pre-trip inspection, it looks pretty tough. But okay, so yes, you need to do air brakes. So the last 2 tests you're going to do is test the parking brakes, and then you're going to roll ahead a few feet and test the service brakes, and then you're going to stop and you're going to fill out your pre-trip inspection form. So that's what you need to do for Class 2 license. Grand Alchemist. Yes, you can get docked if you're doing too many shoulder checks on a road test. For the most part, you only need to shoulder check twice for every time you turn the vehicle or turn the vehicle laterally. So that's basically all you need to do. Sometimes you will need to shoulder check 3 times if a bit of time has passed and there's a lot going on at the intersection or wherever you might be. But for the most part, you really only need to do 2. Okay? Not to worry, Chris. My pleasure. And as I said, if you have any more questions regarding passing your road test, by all means, leave me a question, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. And then we can move that. That was canceled. The earliest there is for Class 7 is in mid-October. Are you in Vancouver, Bula? That's probably the reason why it's taking so long for you to get a road test. If you can get somewhere else in a center that's not as populated, you might be able to get it a little bit earlier. The other thing you can do, Bula, is ask them to put you on the cancellation list, because a lot of times they'll get road tests that have been canceled, and then they can slip you in and you can get a road test earlier. So that might be another reason. Zeno, thank you so much for your compliments. Trying to keep constant speed like 30, I have a hard time. Yes, that is one of the things that students are having difficulty with, is keeping a constant speed when they're driving. And that's simply... It's a couple of things. One thing is it's practice. The other thing is your scanning pattern. You need to set up a scanning pattern so that you're looking out far down the road. You're going to check your mirror. You're going to check back out the front. You're going to look close in, and then you're going to check your speedometer. You're going to look back out the window. You're going to come back in. You're going to check your wing mirrors and back out. And you've got this scanning pattern that you need to set up that basically checks out the front, your center mirror, out the front, your instrument panel out the front, and then your wing mirrors, and then you just repeat that every sort of 8 to 12 seconds while you're driving. And if you can keep looking at the speedometer, then that'll help you to keep that speed. But know that it's a skill that takes some time, and even veteran drivers are always sort of wandering up, and they're always adjusting their speed. So it's not going to be something that's going to come easily to you. It's just going to take some practice, and as well, it's imperative that you implement that scanning pattern. Okay. Nurul, thank you so much for your compliments. You are most welcome. Thanks so much, Grand Alchemist. Best tips to pass the driving test the first time. The best tip, practice, practice, practice. As well, look at the specific information here. There's a playlist on Smart Drive Test, Pass Your Road Test. Have a look at that playlist. That will give you the specific information that you need for the road test. Now, I'll just go back here a bit. Actually, what I'll do is I'll give the presentation here, and then if there's any more questions, we can talk about that, because actually that will answer that question about how to pass your road test first time. So let's just go to that, and then we'll have a look at the presentation here. Okay, so pass your road test first time, that's me. And remember, I'm the kind of doctor that's not going to fix you if you have a heart attack or whatnot. Now, if you're working with a new driver, or you have somebody that's helping you, by all means, go over to my website, get this Learning to Drive, a guide for mentors. I will leave a comment down I'll leave the link down in the description box after the video. You can go over there. It's a free guide. You just simply sign up for it, and you can look at this guide, and it will give you tips on helping new drivers to pass a road test and some of the information about the GLP program. All right. Okay, knowledge test. It's multiple choice, and again, that comes back to my tagline, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. It consists of signs, signals, and road markings that you need to understand and you need to know and be able to interpret. It talks about terminology, painted islands, left-hand turns, right-hand turns, continuity lines, all of that type of terminology in terms of doing a knowledge test. And again, the tip that I give you for doing a knowledge test is don't try and read the driver's manuals cover to cover. Actually, what you need to do is you need to go and find some practice driving test questions on the internet. There's some on my website at smartdrivetest.com, and do the practice driving test, identify the gaps in your knowledge, and then go back to the book and look at the book and figure out that information. Determine right of way and the driving task, and the driving task is the dynamic features of the roadway that are consistently changing, and that is the driver, the vehicle, traffic, the roadway, light, and weather. Those 6 key elements are always changing when you're driving, so know that. And those are the types of things you need to do for the road test. And I misspelt road test here. Should be a D there. There we go. No, capital D. There we go. Road test, 4 components. All road tests, regardless of class of license, have the same 4 components. Speed management, space management, observation, and communication. All road tests have these 4 fundamental components. Speed management, you have to obey the posted speed limit, you have to drive the flow of traffic or the capability of the vehicle. For those of you taking a higher class license, a bus or a truck, if you're going uphill, obviously it's not going to do the speed limit, so you got to go the capability of the vehicle. Those are the three criteria for posted speed limit. So you either have to drive the posted speed limit, the flow of traffic, or the capability of the vehicle, whichever is less. And as well, if you're in a residential area or high traffic area, high pedestrian traffic area, you're not going to do the speed limit. There is good reason there to drive slower than the posted speed limit. So those are that's speed management. Space management is essentially don't get near other objects or road users on the roadway and don't hit anything. Observation, you must look. You have to shoulder check for the purposes of a road test. Every time you move the vehicle laterally, you change lanes, you merge, you turn corners, you have to shoulder check minimum 2 times. As well, you have to have your scanning pattern in place, and the examiner is going to look to make sure that you are scanning well ahead, interpreting traffic patterns, and determining what other traffic is doing on the roadway. Communication, you have to communicate with other road users. You have to communicate through the use of your lights, your signals, your horn, hand gestures, appropriate hand gestures. Don't tell other road users they're number 1 on a road test, because that will not get you a pass on your road test. And finally, one of the key forms of communication on a road test is the position of your vehicle on the roadway. If you're in the left-hand turning lane, there's a good chance you're going to turn left because that's the position of your vehicle. So know that those are the different forms of communication for the purposes of a road test. The slow speed maneuvers for the requirements of a road test, although slow speed maneuvers only make up about 1/8 of the road test, they're the part of the road test that give drivers the most grief. So know that you need to practice these. And as well, the slow speed maneuvers are going to improve your overall driving. So the main slow speed maneuvers that you need to know for the purposes of a road test: parallel parking, 3-point turn, 2-point reverse turn, which is basically backing around a corner, stall parking, and U-turns. And most of the time when you do a U-turn on a road test, it's simply in a cul-de-sac or some dead-end street that you're going to have to do a U-turn. If it's not wide enough to get around on a U-turn, then you're going to need to do a 3-point turn to get around. Okay, more requirements of the road test: holding the vehicle centered in the lane. You're not deviating or wandering around. Observing and shoulder checking. You need to respond accordingly to the changing traffic situations that you encounter. You have to respond to the information on the roadway, traffic signs and whatnot. And I just made a video a couple of days ago about if you are in the least bit of doubt of the traffic situation while you're on your road test, stop. Simply bring the vehicle to a stop, wait for the other road users to clear, and then proceed. And in the video that I did about stopping, where I did stop, in fact, at a green light, was because there was a traffic. I was going to turn right. There was a traffic in the intersection that was turning left, and there was a pedestrian, and a utility truck had gone around the corner and then pulled up on the sidewalk. So I stopped because I didn't know whether I could get around the corner because of the utility truck. And just as I stopped, the light went to yellow. So the guy going left, the vehicle going left rather, went through the intersection. Know as well how to handle emergency vehicles, because emergency vehicles are going to be the fly in the ointment on your road test. So know that for the purposes of a road test, unless you're on a highway, a multi-lane highway, you do have to stop. You do have to try and stop on a multi-lane highway, but it's a little more difficult because other vehicles don't stop. And you have to be fairly conscious if you're on a high-speed highway and there are emergency vehicles, so just know that. Okay, abilities for a road test: 2 hands on the steering wheel. You have to stop in traffic so that you can see the wheels of the vehicle in front of you making clear contact with the pavement. That's about one vehicle space behind the other vehicle. You have to stop at the correct position at stop sign intersections. Amber traffic lights, whether to go or stop for those, and when to turn at controlled and uncontrolled intersections. Some of the examiners may use this terminology. A controlled intersection means a stop sign, a yield, or traffic lights. Uncontrolled means that there aren't any controls at the intersection, and you need to understand right-of-way at stop signs, yield signs, four-way stops, roundabouts, and whatnot. So that's some of the other information that you need to understand as well. And we've already answered this question and gone over driving lessons, whether you want to take a whole class that a driving school is offering, individual lessons, or mock road tests. So if you aren't going to take driving lessons, by all means, I do encourage you strongly to take a mock road test, 7 to 10 days before your actual road test, because the local driving instructors will be able to give you specific information for the licensing center where you're going to take your test. So make sure you do a mock road test 7 to 10 days before your road test. Practice, practice, practice. Get as much practice as possible. Practice in different vehicles and practice in different environments. Now, I'll make a note here about practicing in different vehicles. As you get close to your road test, I would say 2 to 3 weeks away from your road test, stick with the same vehicle. Farther away than that, you can practice in different vehicles. But as you get closer to your road test, practice in the same vehicle all the time. If you hit the curb when parking, and I've had this comment a few times from different smart drivers who unfortunately have not been successful because they hit the curb when they backed up, either reverse parking or curb parking or parallel parking. If you hit the curb or you drive over the curb, then yes, that is an automatic fail on a road test. However, if you just bump the curb and you realize, oh, I bumped the curb, I need to move forward and adjust, then it's not likely you're going to fail for bumping the curb. If you hit the curb and the vehicle rocks back and forth, then yes, you're definitely going to fail. But if you just bump it or just touch it when you're parallel parking, I got to move forward, then no, you're not going to fail a road test. Okay, the reality of a road test, the good, the bad, and the ugly is that sometimes bad drivers pass because the C's part and everything goes perfectly on a road test. And unfortunately, sometimes good drivers fail because something just happens on the road test that goes wrong. And, it's unfair, and unfortunately, sometimes it happens. So know that, and know that it is not a reflection of your skill. Okay, fundamentals of a road test, learn the basics. Spend the time with the basics. I know it's not sexy going to a parking lot and driving around parking lots and whatnot. We all want to go down the road and, have the wind in our hair and, ZZ Top's playing on the radio. But you have to spend the time learning the basics and how to handle the primary controls in the vehicle. And to be successful on your road test, luck favors the prepared. That means you need to practice, 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 and you need to be prepared. Master the basic skills. All right, so a couple more here. Road test day. Get a good night's sleep. Bring documentation. So you need 3 pieces of ID for your road test day. You do only need 2, but I recommend you bringing 3 in case 1 isn't accepted for whatever reason. If you wear prescription glasses or it is a very sunny day and you need sunglasses, by all means bring that, and make sure you bring money because the road tests, unfortunately, are not free. I mean, there are some places and schools and whatnot that people have commented that, yes, it is free, but most places, most of us have to pay for the road test. And on the road test, keep going until you're told to stop. Don't make a mistake and go, oh my God, I made a mistake, I'm done. That is for the examiner to determine, not you. You just keep going until the examiner tells you to stop, and try not to get wrapped up in the mistake. If you make the mistake, just, oh my God, I made a mistake, and then regroup, get yourself back on track, and then carry on with the road test. And all you have to do for road test day is take away the examiner's right to fail you. Nothing more, nothing less. And if you've practiced, you've looked at the videos, you know exactly what you need to do for the technique, skills, and abilities for the purposes of a road test, it's going to be easy and you're going to move forward. So, good luck on your road test. You're going to do great. And here we go. And we're back. Okay. Full screen PowerPoint. Zachary, I would love to, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet with OBS. Maybe you can help me with that, because I haven't figured it out yet. Okay, Bert here. Just live in California. The driving test is super easy. That's great. Bob Jones, how are you? Got him. Umar, how are you, Umar? Yes, Umar has been asking me questions. We've been helping Umar getting ready for his road test. Yes, Nargis, I'm sorry, did I say that right? Probably not. Yes, she passed her road test, and exactly what she said. Get to the test center early. Take a walk, breathe, go in and check in. Because you don't want to be trying to get there at the last minute and scrambling around. It's just too hard. Rinwer, I have a whole playlist for you on driving a manual transmission, and it is from scratch. It's how to do clutch control, how to learn clutch control and whatnot. Neurocator, passed my road test because of your videos. Excellent. Thank you so much for letting us know. 0126 Toronto, could you explain to keep full control of the vehicle, finish braking before you turn the steering wheel? Yes, I can explain that to you. What that means is that you want to get down to the speed which you're going to go around the corner before you start turning the steering wheel. So it's brake first, and then it's turn the steering wheel. So on a right-hand turn in Canada, you're going to be 10 to 15 kilometers an hour, depending on how sharp the turn is. So you need to get down to 10 to 15 kilometers an hour before you start turning the steering wheel. On a left-hand turn, it's going to be 20 to 30 kilometers an hour, or sort of 12 to 18 miles an hour. So make sure that you're at 20 to 30 kilometers an hour before you start turning the vehicle. And that's going to help you out in the wintertime, because if it's slippery, you can't brake and steer at the same time. It doesn't work out for you. All right. Let's see. Who else has a question? Venkat, what is the correct way to turn left onto a street that has a center turning lane? Ooh. I don't... So are you talking about the road that you're turning onto has 3 lanes? Is that what you're asking me? Just clarify that for me, because I'm not sure. Okay, Brandon. Hey, do you have to put your arm on the passenger seat when you parallel park? Brandon, it's a lot easier to put your arm on the back of the passenger seat, because you have to turn your body around in the seat and look out the back window for the purposes of the road test. Okay, so that's another point that you need to know for the purposes of the road test. I know a lot of you are driving newer vehicles that have backup cameras in your car. You cannot use a backup camera for a road test. That's a no-no. You gotta turn around, you gotta look out the back window, and if you just put your hand on the passenger seat, that's gonna help you to turn your hips to move around. Okay. 0126, you are most welcome in that explanation. Okay. Ahmed Noor, yes, you have your commercial test. Okay, don't worry about your downshifting. If you crunch a couple of gears, it's not going to be a big deal. Okay, really what they're looking for is that you can maneuver the vehicle safely through traffic and get it around corners. Focus more on your corners than on your turning. If you missed a couple of shifts, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to fail you on a road test. However, you go around the corner and you pull the rear tires or the trailer tires up over the curb, that's a fail. So concentrate on your turning and less on your downshifting. I know that it's a mark of pride with us that we really want to be able to get that smooth shifting, but that's not what's important on your road test. Okay. Marvelous Marvin, excellent. Thank you so much for letting us know that you passed your road test. That is awesome. Congratulations on that. That is really awesome. All right, I think we are beginning to wrap up here. If anybody else has any more questions, I'm just having a look through the questions here. Videos, Neural, congratulations. Okay, I think we've got most of them here. So Chris was asking about air brakes. There is some air brake stuff, yes. Okay, if you have any questions about air brakes, I can help you with that too, because oddly enough, air brakes is my specialty. Oh, okay, Hang Tren, you asked about straight truck. How do you get straight truck license from Ontario? Thank you. So in Ontario, straight truck is D license, and it's simply you have to write a learner's permit for a D license, and then you have to take a road test in a vehicle that is a D license. Now, that is a tandem axle in Ontario, I believe, and it has to be a certain amount of weight. So just look at that. It's on their website. It's on the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario's website in terms of the D license. So just have a look at that, and that will give you the information you need to get a straight truck license in the province of Ontario. Tim has his test tomorrow, and he is super nervous. Yes, just remember to breathe, Tim. Try and get a night's sleep. Okay, so Matt, I was wondering the same thing as Venkat. If the street across from you has 3 lanes, one being a right turn only, those vehicles have the right of way. Yes, the right turning lanes, but if there's more than 2 lanes that you're turning onto, and the right turning lanes and you're turning left, You can still go on your left turn, just don't turn in beside the right turning vehicles. Move in, turn into the spaces between the vehicles. And look at the video here on complex right turns, and that'll show you how to do that. So you want the right-hand turn vehicle to come around like this, and you want to come in behind in the spaces between the other vehicles. You don't want to turn in beside another vehicle on a multi-lane road. So that's the way you want to do that. Kabur, how do I avoid nerves? Nerves are good for a road test. You need some nerves. It'll keep you sharp, but just to breathe. Look at the top 10 tips for road test day here on the channel, and I'll put a link down in the description for you, and you have a look at that, and that'll help you. But just remember the breathing from your navel out, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Just practice that breathing and just keep telling yourself, I can do this, I can do this. And just pay attention to the directions of the examiner and do what they tell you to do, and keep it between the lines, and you're going to be fine on your road test. Okay. Pedestrians and bikers are pretty nervous about that. Jocelyn, yes, you're going to be nervous about that, but just take your time. Scan well, give the right of way to other road users that you have to give the right of way to, but you're gonna be great. Just take your time. Okay. Okay, Grand Alchemist. If I hesitate at a four-way stop and lose my right of way, are there points taken off? No, not necessarily. If you do pause too much at a right of way, or at a four-way stop rather, and other traffic is going and honking and beeping and that sort of thing, then you could potentially lose points. But if you just hesitate because you're not quite sure and you let the other vehicles go first, then that's going to be fine. You're not going to lose a great deal of points for that. So, okay. Ahmed Noor, I didn't understand what your question was. Can you just reword that for me, and I'll try and answer that question for you, okay? But I think we're just about wrapped up here. And again, there's lots of checklists. There's a driver's license checklist as well over at my website. So head over there as well and get that checklist for road test day, and that will help you out as well. So you can sign up for that and get that for free. It's a free checklist. Sam, do you have any points at the end of the road test or takeaway points in Canada? I've always explained to students the point system over here and how they grade you. Yeah, we have the same thing, Sam. We have a point system that has to be explained to students. It really is. It's almost like some sort of code that the DMV and ICBC and the Ministry of Ontario and all of these licensing authorities have, that it has to be interpreted to students because nobody can understand it except the driving examiners and other people. I mean, they do have some sort of sheets and those types of things, but for the most part, it's pretty awful. And I mean, the other thing about examiners is they tell students that they failed for a certain reason, and generally, it's not just one reason that somebody passed a road test, unless they do have a dangerous action during a road test. Most of the time, it's a culmination of things. But unfortunately, during the feedback that examiners give students only hear one thing, that was the reason that they failed. And a lot of times, I've had a few students over the few months that I've been doing this now that have come on and said, "Oh, I failed because of this, and you told me I could do that." And it's like, it's probably not the only reason you failed. There were probably a few other reasons as well. My instructor gave me points off from entering on a left side in an intersection. Is that true? Our works are not following exactly what you're doing. Were you making a left-hand turn at the time? Okay, so Matt had one more question, last one I promise. I'm at a left-hand two-way stop and I want to turn left. I got there first, but someone who wants to go straight comes after. Who is the right of way? Okay, so if you're at a two-way stop, straight through vehicles have the right of way over turning vehicles. So just know that even though it's only first there at a four-way stop. It's not first there at a two-way stop. So at the two-way stop, the straight through has the right of way over the turning vehicle. So you probably want to give the right of way to that other turning vehicle. Okay. Okay, how long is the road test in Canada? I think it's about 6 minutes here in New York. I don't know. Usually in Canada, it can be sort of anywhere between 20 and 40 minutes, depending on the examiner, depending on what time of the day it is. If it's the end of the day, usually they're backed up a little bit, and they're going to try and get you shorter road tests. So it really depends on the examiner, but as I said, it can be anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. But do allow yourself an hour for the road test, okay? Oh, height. How did you call, okay, Heminar, are you asking me the height of the vehicle? Because the height of the vehicle in Canada is 4.15 meters, or 13 feet 6 inches is the maximum height of the vehicle. The height of the vehicle doesn't matter for the purposes of the road test. It's the weight and the axles that matters for the road test. I don't know whether, I hope that answered your question. Rinwer, my test was 35 minutes, but it felt like an hour. Okay, one more question here. Catherine Knight's question. If I can't see the cones during parallel parking when backing up, should I tell my instructor? Catherine, are you on a road test or are you on a driving lesson? Let me know which one of those that is. Because if it's a driving lesson, you should tell the driving instructor that you can't see the cones, right? But if you're parallel parking along a curb, you're not going to be able to see the curb either. So you need to practice in order to learn spatial relationship of the vehicle that you're driving. Yeah, okay. Okay, Parthena, I was nervous, but it was okay. 22 minutes, there you go. So as I said, it's 20 to 40 minutes for a passenger vehicle road test. If you're doing a bus or straight truck, it's probably going to be about an hour and a half, 90 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. If you're doing a tractor trailer, it can be anywhere from 2 to 2.5 hours. So it depends on what class of vehicle that you're driving. Motorcycle is probably, again, the same. It's 20 to 45 minutes. So if you have any further questions, by all means, leave me a comment. I will stay on the comments for a few minutes, but I'm just going to end it here because we're up to an hour, and I just kind of like to keep these things for an hour. And on a road test. No, Catherine. I wouldn't tell him you couldn't see the pylons on a road test, because for the purposes of a road test, you have to be able to park the vehicle along a curb. So no, you can't on a road test. Okay. And thank you everybody for your time and showing up for the live feed. This was really successful. I think at one time we had a record of like 60 people here, which is really great for us. And okay, Zeno 2019. Road test. Zeno, have a look at the Pass a Road Test Smart videos, and most of that will answer all of that. Okay, Grand Alchemist, you are most welcome. And again, I'll stay around on comments for a few minutes if any of you have any more questions, and I'll just answer them on comments. But again, thanks so much for showing up. Thanks so much for your time and all of your great questions, and I appreciate it. Good luck on your road test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great day. Bye now.